Welcome back to Stories from the River. I'm your guest host, Sam Blum, and I'm super excited to kick off a 4-part series featuring our retail operations team. I am joined in the studio today by 3 lovely ladies who I've worked with for a very long time, and we are going to tell you a story. So get ready, and we're going to dive in.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
Let's get started, ladies. Please introduce yourselves. Tell us about your career journey with Broad River.
My name is Kellie Jones. I've been with Broad River now for closing in on 9 years. I started back in 2016 as a guest service representative. Quickly became the lead guest service representative, which was super exciting. And then became an REM. I also was a senior REM at later, which was a little bit different than our current senior REM program. And then I got to work on some special projects for the company. And then I became the manager of retail operations. And now I'm the senior manager.
Congratulations.
Yep.
That's quite the journey.
Yes.
All right, Molly, you're up. By the way, this is Molly's first podcast, so we're going to be really extra nice to her today.
Yes, I'm Molly Angelo-Teisch. I've also been with Broad River for going on 9 years. I started as a guest service representative as well. Then I became a lead GSR as well. And then we became REMs, a senior REM, and now I'm the associate manager of retail operations for the North region and the E team.
Thank you, Molly. All right, Cathy.
I'm Cathy Aleman. I've been with Broad River for 11 and a half years, coming up on 12. I started out as a sales service representative back in 2013. Then I became a guest service representative, and then I became a lead guest service representative. It's changed a lot over the years. And then I became an REM, and now I'm a senior REM in Rock Hill.
Perfect. Thank you. So a lot of tenure going on in here. I have been here coming up on 9 years also. I think I started just after you, Kellie. And the reason I am your host today is because I joined the company just as we were transitioning from guest services to retail operations. So we're going to tell that story a little bit today, or a lot today, I should say. So it's throwback time. Let's go back 9 years. Think back to where we were, where we are now, but we'll get to that. But where we were, what we were doing, how we were doing it, and tell the audience listening just a little bit about how that worked, what that looked like.
Well, I'll go. So it was very different. In essence, I like to say we were kind of glorified cashiers because we answered every phone call. Which we didn't have a customer care, so we got lots of phone calls. And then we literally rang up every guest and took payment for every single guest. And that is what we did all day long.
Anything to add, ladies?
Well, in addition to being the glorified cashiers, which we definitely were, uploading our documents looked completely different than it looks today. Yes.
You know what? I'm sorry, Molly. That was my first project.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
It
was
was.
my first
DocuWare was
project.
her first project.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we were still uploading everything to Ashley.
Shop
Ashley.
And then we started with DocuWare, but nothing was automated with DocuWare yet. You still had to do it all manually, right?
We still had to do it all manually, but what a difference it was from Shop Ashley.
Yeah, I'm sure. Please continue. I'm so sorry.
So yeah, it would take hours,
Literally.
half a day to upload the documents that we had to upload because we would have to type in every single page of the document, which was a lot.
Times.
It was
Stone
crazy
ages.
times.
Yes.
Kathy?
I mean, I used to go help your mom in Pineville.
Weird.
And there would be folders.
Oh, yes.
like
I can't
this.
even imagine.
And to each one. And sometimes if it was a holiday, there was 2 folders, 3 folders. And I would have to go there, help, and they would be like a month behind.
That's so crazy. So obviously, we've outlined some of the challenges that you guys faced as glorified cashiers, which sounds terrible because you were so much more than that. But I think it's fair to say that it was completely inefficient. And HFCs, our home furnishing consultants or our sales associates, did not have their own devices. So
No.
like
No.
to key an order into Storus, our ERP platform, they were bringing all of that to you. They were literally handwriting their sales orders, bringing it to you, having you enter it in the system, take payment for it, schedule delivery, give out the customer their sales receipt. Like you were the
Yes.
end all be all, right?
Try
Yeah.
reading some of that handwriting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Woo.
Luckily, when Molly and I started, we weren't using worksheets anymore. So the HFCs, the sales team, would actually key their sales in Storus.
Okay, great.
And but they would just literally handwrite a sales order number and give it to us. We're not trained on the furniture, so we just assume everything's correct. And so
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the amount of like sales errors and all that happened in those days because we just said, okay,
Yeah.
here's your order. How are you
I'm
paying
sure.
today?
Right. You wouldn't
So.
know.
Had
Wow.
no idea.
Yeah.
What an experience for the customer too, to like go from the person they've worked with for the last 30 minutes, hour, picking out their dream furniture to being dropped off at a counter to take a payment. Like that just feels really clunky and
I can remember times when they were lined up at the counter, maybe 10
Waiting, right?
waiting for us to check them out.
we were just talking about, I came to university on Black Friday and there was a line at the counter and I was helping you
Yeah.
take payments then. And it was nuts.
It was crazy
Yes.
times.
It really was. We were literally living in the Stone Ages.
Yes.
Try doing it during a tent sale.
I don't remember tent sales.
We had profits back then.
That's why I don't remember it. I came
And
with
they would
Yes.
turn in worksheets. And I think I'd only been with the company for maybe 4 or 5 months. And it was a Sunday and I had a line of 20. And I had to be the one to key the sale on my own.
My goodness. Good times. You guys went through the trenches. So just to
did.
recap everything, we lived in a period of time where our home furnishings consultants may either write their sales order out or enter it in the system, depending on what point in time we were at, and then bring their customer to the counter for a GSR, guest service representative, to process payment, schedule delivery, and give copies of receipts or terms and conditions to the customer, right?
Yes.
Right.
So enter Sam. That is when we started talking about really transforming guest services into retail operations. At the time, though, I don't think we called it retail operations. We really struggled with the name retail experience managers. That was a big task for us. But just transforming it from guest services, empowering our sales team to take care of the guests from A to Z, and giving you guys more of the retail operations responsibilities. So let's talk a little bit about that. It's scary, right? You're going from this team of people in your stores that you have always ready available to help you with whatever you need to one person in the store.
Yeah.
And you are now being asked as a home furnishings consultant to handle payment, terms and conditions, everything that you guys would handle. You are now being trained, hopefully, on how to handle that yourself.
Yes.
How did you guys keep your team calm during this transition? Do you remember?
A few things. Training first, because that was the first thing, was to figure out, okay, what do they know? Do they know how to take cash payment? Do they understand how to handle that? And walking them through all the different types of payment, all lender after lender, and then repeating the finance lenders over and over and over again, because those were obviously the more difficult than a cash or credit card payment. Those ones they caught on pretty quick with. But for the first little bit, when we became REMs, at least for Molly and I, because we piloted it, we had GSRs still for a few days, for a little bit, for a few months, and then we slowly dropped off the GSRs throughout the process of the pilot, and that still helped and gave them some ease that they still had time. But I don't think that happened with Cathy later that year, in that November, I think, of that year, is when Cathy was an REM, and they just said goodbye.
Yeah.
It was a rip the Band-Aid off kind of moment.
was.
Yes.
It
So-
was. I remember that day very well.
Yes.
It was stressful.
It was.
But it was good all at the same time, only because, like we've already talked about, we were creating such great efficiencies by doing this and empowering our team to go take care of the customer, which was the ultimate goal.
Right. Well, and at the same time, phone calls stopped at the store. Well, minimal phone calls came to the store because we got customer care at that point in time. That's when we got tablets to them. So they understood that they could do it with, and they could be mobile and move. And it was really great that way. So, luckily we had all that.
Yes, thank God. Right?
Yes.
Because if we didn't give them their tablets and we asked them to find a computer on the floor somewhere, again, Stone Ages,
Yes.
it was just not a good employee experience or a memory maker experience for them
Right.
at that time. So empowering them with tablets was step one for us in the planning part of all of this. And then really the training was just a beast of its own to empower a sales team to be able to do everything for themselves. That took a lot of time.
It
Yes.
did.
But we made it.
And
We made
patience.
it, right? And patience.
And
Molly.
Lots of
Patience.
patience. Yes.
Anything
Yeah.
from your team that you did, Molly, to keep them calm that you remember?
I just remember supporting them as much as I could. And, saying we were all in this together and we're going to make it through together.
Love it.
And we did.
And we did. Here we are.
Yep.
With a very successful retail operations department.
Yes.
Yep.
Cathy?
I did the same thing. Just I was there to support them and make sure that if they had any questions, that I was always there to assist them with answers and try to train them and show them the right ways to do things.
Okay. What were some of the biggest changes that shaped the transition for you and your teams?
I was going to say, the biggest change I know, at least how the store felt, was we no longer had somebody behind the desk open to close. Because we, as the REM, we'd either have our day off, obviously, and there's nobody else, or we would leave at 6 o'clock, but the store's still open till 9.
Right.
So then they would just have like this panic moment, like, what if something happens? Oh my goodness. Hardly ever did anything happen.
Yep.
But they were crazy about that for a little bit.
Yep.
It was hard letting go of the reins
Yes.
to let your sales manager
Yeah.
take over from that point. Once you left at 6 o'clock, your sales manager was in charge to count the drawer, take care of any guest issues or anything like that. And letting that go was really hard for me because I'm so in control. And it's just like, but being able to trust them to do it and do it the right way was hard at first.
I can imagine. I'm also a control freak,
Yes.
Cathy. So I think it's like a requirement for an REM
Yes, I
to be a
think
little
it is
bit of a
too.
control
That
freak.
should
I
be one of
think
the
it is.
questions.
I'm
Are you
not
a
one.
Come
control
on,
freak?
I'm just kidding.
Come on now.
We all know I'm a
We're
major
all
one.
a little bit
Yes.
like just extra,
Just a
which is why
little
we
bit.
work so well, right? Like
Yes.
that's what makes us great retail operations teams,
Right.
Yes.
if you will. Even though I'm no longer a part of the retail operations team, I'm like an honorary member.
You're still
absolutely.
you're
Thank
still
you.
one
Yes,
of us.
you helped create it. So that's
Yes,
right.
you did
For
create
real.
it.
You
did.
I
created
did,
it.
but with y'all's help. I mean, come on now. There was a ton of planning and prep that went in behind the scenes before it all happened, like before we even piloted with you guys and before we ripped the Band-Aid off on
I
you,
remember
Cathy.
sitting down with you
Do you?
and you asking me all these questions and about hourly and do you feel like this and feel like that and
Really? I don't remember this.
The only thing I remember is the interview for this
Yeah.
was super intense.
Yes.
Because we came down to corporate and we sat in what was the floating office for a while, but it wasn't then. And you and there were like
Christian,
Christian,
Crystal,
Crystal
and somebody
Gaddis.
else was in there too.
Really?
I
The
feel
four
like.
of us?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then I'm sitting on the end of the table, and you're all staring at me, and I'm just like,
This is so terrible. I
very
remember the
intimidating.
interviews
yes, it was
very
very
well.
intense. So
Oh, I'm
It
sorry
really
we put you
was.
through that, but I'm glad we
Yeah.
did because it's great experience, right?
It really is.
I was like, my senior REM interview wasn't that stressful. Like that was a phone call interview.
Yeah, you had already proven yourself there, Kelly. We didn't need to go in depth for that one.
Yeah, I know.
But I remember the planning part with Christian and Crystal, and we had Tanya, who was like the project manager for this at the time. We would go through like hours long sessions talking about what this would do. And we had this really cool matrix that we put together. I think Tanya put it together. That showed like what a GM's responsibilities were, what GSR's responsibilities were, what sales managers back then did, and then like how we were going to change, the responsibilities from the GSR to split them among the GM, the sales managers, and the new REM position. And going through that with Charlie and Manny and like you guys when we would come to train or we were piloting or whatever we were doing, it was like wait, what? The GM has to do this now? Are you sure? Or the sales managers are going to count cash? Have we really thought this through? But we made it work. Like
They do.
We really gained, like we've already said, so many efficiencies, but saved the company so much money at the same time in having staff just there to simply answer the phone and take payments.
Yes.
And centralizing those calls to our contact center to remove some of the friction that you guys would feel with customer issues or concerns or needing to put out fires, trying to remove that from your plate and allow you to truly focus on what the store needed.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Good times. All right. How has the transition benefited our customer, would you say?
It makes the checkout process a lot quicker for the guests. It's more seamless, where the HFC is the one that writes the sale, they put the payment in. If they need us, we're there to assist and support and make sure that everything goes right. But it makes it a more seamless process for the guest.
Yep, I agree. Anything different from you ladies?
No, I agree, which makes it a wonderful guest experience, which is what we want.
Yeah.
Well, and then the HFC doesn't just stop there. I mean, obviously they follow up with the guests. They're that guest contact for future sales, follow up on delivery.
Yep.
Any issue, the guest comes in and says, "Hey, I want to see Dan," for instance. Dan's my salesperson. I need to talk to him about something on my order. Instead of them coming in and not knowing who to talk to.
Yeah.
It lessened the "can I speak to the manager"
Right.
conversation.
Love
So,
that. Yes. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Right.
Yes.
Is that happens less and less, but if it does happen, you know exactly who to point them to. That's very, very good point.
Yes.
So we talked a lot about what guest services did. We've mentioned retail operations a few times now. What is retail operations? Like, how do you define what retail operations means, what an REM does, what a senior REM does? Like, just give us a high level understanding of that.
Well, that is not an easy answer. So what I usually tell interview candidates, and that is an REM does everything but sells furniture, but sometimes we do that too. Because we all help out with that, So, but we do a lot of different tasks in the building. Obviously, as a retail experience manager, our main priority is taking care of the guests. So, and that involves helping guests in the store, helping them over the phone, reviewing their orders to make sure they get everything that they want when they want it. So we do a lot of those things, but then we also take on a lot of other things now too. Social media captain, we do tech audits, we do inventory, lots and lots of inventory.
That's half of our...
that's
I
really
always
half
say
of our job
inventory
these
is
days.
half my job.
Okay.
The other half is the other stuff.
Yeah,
Inventory
so we've
is the
taken
other
on
half.
a lot of different things. And then we're also manager on duty from time to time. So we actually do have to drive the sales process during those times.
So you're having the daily connection with
Yes.
our sales staff. Like you're the ones getting them pumped up in the
Yes.
morning, ready for the day. Like,
That's right.
let's go out and fight
I did
this
mine
fight.
this morning.
Yes.
I love that. That's so cool. So ultimately, your first goal is still sales support.
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
Yes.
And then there's a whole list of things that come underneath it.
Yes.
Inventory being one of the bigger ones.
Yes.
And then lots of other little things that get tasked, if you will,
Yes.
on a very regular basis. So this sounds like a very perfect time to toot your own horn a little bit, because I started it with you guys, but what you've taken it to is just a whole nother level. And where you're going to take it, I can't even imagine. So toot your own horns, ladies. You deserve it. We'll also toot Broad River's horn for us, because we had other licensees and AFI come in to study how we did this, because it was unheard of. Everyone had guest services people
Right.
Yes.
back in the day. So we, being pioneers, let's throw our word of the year in there.
Yes.
Being
Yes.
the pioneers that we are, led the charge in simplifying this because of efficiency, cost savings, etc., and have evolved into this really well distinguished group. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. All right, let's wrap it up. My last question. I like to end with a fun question. So if Retail Ops had a theme song for its journey, what would it be and why? Kellie?
So I couldn't decide when you prepped me with this question because there's different experiences throughout the whole time of retail ops. So the first time, bit I thought of I will survive.
Oh,
Because, first
That's
we
a
were
good
afraid, we
one.
were petrified, all of that. Like we were all scared, but we're like, we got this. We're going to survive. We can do this.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was the first part. But now all I can think of, all I do is win, win, win because, DJ Khaled. But because that's what we do at this point in time in retail operations, our team, we want to succeed and we want to win. And any goal that we give to our REMs and the team, we're going to get there. We're going to meet that goal or exceed that goal. So it's just a matter of time before we get there. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm really fighting the urge to sing both of those songs right now.
I know, it's really hard.
But I'm going to move on. I'm going to
Yes.
move on,
Actually,
Molly.
one of those songs
All
played
right,
in the
my
store the other
song
day.
that I chose was Changes
I don't know this song.
by David Bowie. Well, it's
I
kind-
don't know this song.
Well, you're young.
Can you sing it for me?
So no,
Okay.
I cannot sing it for you because it has been a constant change from where it was 9 years ago, where we started, and to where it is today. It's a big change.
Yeah, it is.
And it's an ever changing role.
Is the song positive about change?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes,
Just
it is
checking,
very
'cause I don't know
positive
it.
about
I'll have to look
change.
up the lyrics and
Yes.
play it on my way home. But
Yes.
okay, I like it.
Yes.
Kathy?
I'm going to say Unwritten.
I love that song.
Will Luke would tell you that is my theme song.
okay.
Okay.
But I would definitely say, like, in the very beginning, I mean, it was unwritten, the things that we were going to have to do. And, like, the future is ours.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what the song talks about. And there's so much more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm
Good
really fighting the urge to sing Unwritten to the audience right now.
Used to be my ringtone
They
on my
wouldn't
phone.
appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining me today on our podcast featuring our retail operations heroes. Tune in again soon. We will have another episode with some leaders who came a little bit later into the journey, who can help us understand what else retail operations does today and go into depth into what all, they're responsible for. So that'll be on our next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Stories from the River.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. To watch this episode, go to youtube.com/@storiesfromtheriver. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.